In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about modifying your harnessed swim baits. These things are really cool, and over the past few years, they have absolutely blown up in popularity because of their ability to not only catch numbers, but also get that bigger than average fish to bite as well, because I mean, it is a 6 to 8 inch piece of plastic that it's kind of crazy its ability to catch numbers, but still get big bites. And over the past few years of me fishing them, I've figured out some really simple on the fly, on the water modifications that you can make to these baits to make them even more effective than they already are, which is crazy because they're already dangerously effective. So the first tip is really simple, but it's something a lot of people still overlook, and that is adding weight to your harness swim bait. So this Berkley cold shad that I have in my hand is really cool because it actually has 2 designated holes molded into the bottom of this swim bait so that you can stick in just a small Nico weight hook. So if you got a small Nico weight hook in your box, all you have to do is take one out, find one of those designated holes, and push that weight up in there. And what that's going to do is it's going to give that swim bait just a little bit of extra weight so it'll swim just a little bit deeper. So, you know, if those fish have kind of quit eating in that, 0 to 5 foot range and they've started working to that like 6 to 10 foot range and they still think they're gonna eat this bait, you can stick in those Nico weight hooks into those designated holes and get this thing to sink just a little bit more and actually get those fish to bite. And the thing is you can do this about with any harness swim bait out on the market. You just have to be careful because some of them, especially the magnet style, the way that the magnets molded in, you will actually end up ripping that swim bait. And so just be careful when you're doing it so that you don't tear your swim bait up. But adding weight can be huge because it helps it to swim just a little bit deeper, and you can get some of those fish that have moved just a little bit deeper to eat. Now, another modification that I make to every one of my harness swim baits as soon as I get them out of the package or before I start fishing them is adding just a little bit of Chartreuse to the throat of that swim bait. So you guys can see there on this Berkley cold shad, I got just a little bit of Chartreuse. Literally all I've done is take a Chartreuse dye marker just like this. You pop the top off and you literally just mark a little bit of Chartreuse right there. And what that does is it creates a target for those bass to hit. And it's kind of crazy in what I've noticed, and I actually learned this tip from Bailey Eichbrett from Serious Anglers Podcast. It creates a target, and literally you'll have fish that will smoke, either a mag draft or a cold shad, whatever you're fishing, and somehow not get the hook. But when he started adding just a little bit of Chartreuse to the throat of those baits, it literally went from those fish smoking it and not getting it to literally having to dig it out of the back of their throat. I'm actually going to pop up a little picture right here so you guys can see it. But it's absolutely insane the difference that just that little bit of Chartreuse can make. And I think it's simply because you're giving those fish a target. They're already really hitting the head of this swim bait to try to stun it anyway. And so when you have that target, plus they're already heading towards the head, it really makes those fish just get this thing. And again, turns fish that you may have missed into having to dig the swim bait out of their throat and fish into the boat, the bank, or the kayak. And then speaking of the bank, this last tip is for you bank anglers as well as anybody else, but especially bank anglers. Because there's one thing about a harness swim bait that a lot of bank anglers and people who like to fish shallow water see, and that is that big old hook right on the bottom. A lot of people say, Alex, I can't fish that thing in shallow water. All I'm going to do is get it hung up and I'm going to lose it. Well, one modification that you can make, and you can actually do this right on the fly, and you can do this with any harness swim bait, but it's really easy with the cold shad because of one of the features that it has, is actually take your hook system from the bottom of the swim bait and put it on the top of the swim bait. And so it's really simple how you do that. All you have to do is take a pair of split ring pliers and you take off the split ring from the bottom of the harness and you put it on your line tie. Now this isn't going to affect the action of the bait at all, but what it is going to do is it puts that hook on top of that bait and it makes it a little bit more weedless and a little bit more snag resistant, so that if you're slow rolling it through some rocks, or if you're fishing from the bank and you got to bring it up into shallow water, this bait isn't going to get hung up as easy. And then it also makes it have the ability to come over wood and different cover like that and not get hung up. Now the one thing that I said is it can be a little bit hard if you're not using a cold shad. The reason it's easy with a cold shad is because that cold shad comes with that little screw in clip style hanger, and so that's just a little bitty clip right there, and that hook actually clips in and out of there, and that's actually what holds it on the bottom of the bait. Now the mag draft has a magnet, and so that magnet's actually what holds it in. So if you're fishing a mag draft, all you got to do is actually take a pair of pliers and straighten out one of these hook points, and then you can just stick that thing into the back of that swim bait, and it'll go down into the plastic. The only kind of downside to that is the fact that the more that hook comes out of there, the more it's going to eat that plastic up, and you're going to go through a few more swim baits. And so if you want to check out the Berkley Cold Shad, I'll make sure and link them down below. Also, if you want to see me catch some fish on this thing, click this video that's popping up right here.